gone crazy for power, unlike Simon, who's running for governor in California, who says he's just nuts about California, and that's why he wants to be governor.
He's crazy about California.
So when these guys put on jackboots and big hats, you can say, oh, they're a fascist. But now it seems like we have like a crypto-fascism that's sort of entwined into the political realm, the corporate realm, the marketing realm.
Psychology. It's really, it's the whole thing. And this fascism, as I've been studying the topic, it's really, as I pointed out in previous shows, I'm really into this idea of a dialectic. So it's really instructive if you set things out. And it's Zen Buddhism, really. You've got the yin yang. That's a dialectic. So one of the dialectics that I've been thinking about a lot lately is the people, and we all kind of know that's us. We're the people. And the people includes not just individuals, but also their institutions, the mom and pop grocery store, the local business, the small things, the small businesses. And then you have the state. And what's in the state? You have big government, big industry, big religion, the big organized religions, basically Jude, Christ, Islam, mainly Christianity in this country. And of course, then you have academia. So these things together really are what I would define as the state. And their goal, the goal of the state ultimately, is to gain dominance over the people. And it only happens to the point that the people allow it. And so that's what we have. We have a very docile public that's been hypnotized for years and years and years, and people just accept that, oh, of course, this is the way it is. Yeah. They accept that the life of one American is like worth 10,000 Iraqis, 100,000, what's the number? There's some leverage, there's some multiplier.
But I think you had a good point when you said it was different.
Yeah, it seems to me that there's like all of what you described as part of the system of the various public organizations or known systems of government. To me, comprise a lower tier of the actual center of power.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So it seems to me that what really dominates everything is probably closer to banking than politics. So that there's a certain center of power in the control of wealth that actually dominates the global political system without having to be in every seat of power. So it's sort of like what you really only need to have total control is guaranteed influence. You don't have to have your agent in every seat of power at every level.
Yeah, it would be inefficient that way.
You just need to be able to kill something or start something.
Right.
And you can be completely out of sight.
I'm not saying it's straightforward. I mean, I'm a firm believer that there is a secret government within the government. It's been talked about for years. The people that assassinated Kennedy. There's the people that are covering up the extraterrestrial contact that's been pretty well documented.
The people who are in charge of Enron.
And there you go.
Exactly.
So those are the people. And of course, banking's part of it.
I think I'm trying to find a word for it.
That's what we need. Is a word for it.
We used to have. Eisenhower talked about the military-industrial complex.
Right.
That's not broad enough anymore.
Well, yeah, but it's a post-industrial world. The industrial economy is behind us. We're now into this information age. And if you look at the attempts to take over the cultural norms and to take over the political discourse in this country, it takes the form of monopolizing the TV stations.
Yeah.
You're talking about mergers and acquisitions of media with no government oversight or control, and then the systematic suppression of alternative voices, which I think you may be in trouble soon, Gavin.
Well, yeah, that's what I said. I don't think Paul should be sitting in this seat. This is one with the crosshairs aimed at the forehead. So, and this is serious. This stuff is well documented. I've got a bunch of clippings here. I'll just throw one out speaking about the degree to which you're allowed to speak out. I don't know how many people out there know about Judy Berry. And Judy Berry, I don't know if we can get a close-up on this or not. This comes from Earth Island Journal. I don't know if we can get a close-up on this this is, published material. Effectively, what it looks like happened is that, here's an environmental activist, which makes her a terrorist. Does this help? Which makes her a terrorist in the definition of our current regime. And so, basically, the CIA, FBI, whoever does this kind of stuff, plants a bomb in her car. And they follow her around. When it blows up, they run over and arrest her for being a terrorist and try to blow something up. Even though the physical evidence, which was covered up by the Oakland police and the same FBI agents who were practicing bombing cars, just, hey, we might need to bomb a car, we better practice, up in the country where the logging protest was going on. They had several cars that they blew up practicing bombing cars, seeing what kind of physical evidence is left. And they swoop in, within 5 minutes of this happening. Oh, we just happened to have an FBI agent.
Just happened to be in the neighborhood.
Happened to be in the neighborhood. Thought we'd stop in and investigate your car bombing. And they arrested her and her partner, Daryl Cheney, I think is his name, and charged them as terrorists. And
They charged him with possession of a bomb.
Possession of a bomb, yeah. I mean, isn't that chutzpah to plant a bomb and then turn around and charge them for being in possession of the bomb that you planted?
You can't make this stuff
You can't make it up, no.
No.
You cannot make it up. It's that bizarre.
Yeah.
That is bizarre.
That's above, over the top.
That's over the top.
But,
it's just the beginning.
Well-
If people don't stand up and say no, that's just the beginning.
I don't think it is the beginning. I think that what we're seeing, that it's a continuous process.
Oh yeah, well of
that
course
goes throughout
it's a continuous
history.
process.
That
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, well,
There's no beginning in the beginning, but I'm saying this is if you think that's bad, you ain't seeing nothing yet. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I suppose it can always escalate.
Well, yeah,
for sure.
that's why we need to speak up. Is against the escalation.
well, what the first rule of escalation is.
What's that?
People who are winning do not escalate. If somebody escalates, that's a sign that in their own mind they're losing.
On a more
That's
basic
interesting.
level,
Very important.
That's an interesting.
Yes.
Well, but there's a natural process of people losing their freedom.
That's
I mean, this whole thing, and Matthew, or Metababa, Metababa, I agree with you that this is, it's a process, and it's about looking at what is that process, and where are you in the process?
and I often wonder, like this, what we're calling fascism, or that repressive tendency, the tendency of power to use violence repressively. Where does that come from? I mean, if we're going to make a difference, you can put yourself counterpoised to this ultimate power
right.
and think that you're going to overcome it somehow. But
Well, you don't want to become that.
I'm not sure that. Oh, exactly. Yeah, you certainly don't want to
wanna
become
become
it. But how? When I'm thinking about, well, what would really make a difference for the world? And so I'm thinking more about the root issues. And I sort of agree with Wilhelm Reich.
Yeah.
In his analysis,
Saint Wilhelm Reich, I call him. I'm
As I
canonizing my own
understand,
saints now.
oh,
if
good.
there's any Reichians out there, I'm ready to be corrected. But as I understand Reich, he felt that fascism is a direct result of sexual repression.
I completely
Bingo.
agree.
I wanna turn it over to Danielle
It's the
for a minute.
repression of the feminine tendency, because right now
Exactly.
we're in a male-dominated society. The patriarch, since ancient Greece, actually, maybe even Egypt,
before, even
pro-
before
even
that
before
was
Mesopotamia,
patriarchal, yeah.
the Egyptian civilizations.
The Assyrians,
that
the
was the
Babylonians,
triumph
yeah.
of the patriarch over the matriarchal society. And in the patriarch, as Freud had the idea of the Oedipus complex, which has a whole bunch of different issues around sexuality. And of course, Reich differed from Freud, that he said that was not the only form of culture, that there were other cultures, but it's all around sexuality, and that, the infantile sexuality is completely repressed in our society. So people have all this energy, and they can either, like Diane Darling said in the last show, they can either make war or they can make love. And
That's
people
it.
are choosing to make
choice
war.
is that stark. You make love or you make war, and the choice has unfortunately been to make war.
So where does that leave us?
down
I
to
mean,
that.
if I'm sitting here thinking, those evil bastards, somebody should do something. But really, see, it's like, to me, the fascism is like a symptom of a culture. So
It
you
is.
can blame the police, or you can blame a political figure,
exactly.
or some secret banker who controls knobs that run the economy or something.
Well.
But ultimately, isn't it the whole mass
Ultimately,
of people that have to
get the government that they deserve.
Yeah.
Ultimately, people as a group get the government that they deserve. That's just the way it is.
Well, this personalizing it is avoiding the underlying problem, which is the individual and our inability to control our sense desires. And we force ourselves to be incarcerated into this culture that is completely detaching itself from nature.
From Earth, from
from Earth. It's
Yeah,
like
it's a I don't call it a civilization. I don't call it a
it
culture.
lacks-
It's a mass psychosis. That's the only definition. Because a civilization, you would assume, would need to be civil, and a culture isn't just a corporate monoculture. So it's really not a civilization. It's not a culture. There's a mass psychosis of the Western mind. That's what it's come to.
Well, Galen, didn't you have, what, 10 people or 10 calls?
I had 10 calls
There
about
were
previous
people
show because they were
offended
offended
by
by
the
breast.
there's not
People are
enough
offended
nudity.
by-
There's not
there's
enough
not enough nudity.
in
Yeah.
society.
John Ashcroft is covering statues.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. Wait a second.
Talk about sexual
We have to
repression.
get this
I mean,
one.
he's
Wait a
supposed
second.
to
Man who can't
Here's
dance.
yeah.
Poster boy for sexual
Wait a second.
repression.
I have a picture. I have a
Right.
picture. I have
This is
a
definitely a
picture I want
problem
to get
area.
on there. Yeah, John Ashcroft.
This is a guy who couldn't beat a dead
fundamentalist.
guy in Missouri for the Senate seat.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's,
Where is that great picture of our?
lost to a dead guy.
Fearless.
It's got to hurt, you know. But
Okay.
yeah, John is.
I'd like to get this picture. Can we get this picture? This is such a perfect picture. Now here is, as many of you know, John Ashcroft. He's
and,
our
Justice. Right behind him.
and yeah, very inappropriately placed in front of Justice. And so here we have
they
this
don't
person
hang out much.
who is offended by this statue
And he
behind
doesn't.
him.
And he doesn't dance.
And he doesn't dance.
He doesn't dance.
He doesn't dance. He's the man that doesn't dance. So here's, you know, he looks a little bit like a grand, you know, like the Grand Inquisitor. I mean, you know, the face, the attitude, you know, he's telling people in Oregon, no, you can't decide you want to end your life. They voted in Oregon. You know, what happened to states' rights? Oregon voted overwhelmingly. We're going to allow for euthanasia, you know, for people that want to end their life. The federal government comes in and says, no, 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 silly people, you can't do that. Same with Proposition 215, medical marijuana. The people of this state overwhelmingly approve medical marijuana. Now the feds come in on a regular basis, busting medical marijuana users, myself included.
Well, and this is the man who set it up, so anybody who dares to criticize the
Right.
governmental policies is
Oh,
a terrorist.
So yeah, we are all terrorists.
And I
mean,
think,
unfortunately.
I think we fail the collective as well. We can personalize it and we can try to belittle him.
Well, I'm
But
not trying to
the-
belittle him.
but
I'm just telling my truth
That's
about
the
him.
truth. But
I mean, I'm
we-
just telling my truth about him.
No, I wanted to belittle him, actually.
Oh, well, all
But we have to have compassion. We have to have compassion.
Well,